I had spoken in a previous audio and touched on, matter of fact, a couple of previous audios, touching on the fact that you got to be careful who you let in your home because it could jeopardize where your living space. Now, we live in a very delicate economy right now. Home prices have gone up, rental prices have gone up, and it costs money to move. Let's just say that you did find a cheaper place to stay. You still have to come out of pocket quite a bit because you have to come up with security deposit, application fee. Then you got to turn around and pay for the moving truck, or if you're using a moving company, you got to pay for that. So by the time you get through paying for that and moving into this so-called cheaper place, you've turned around and paid for more than what you would have paid for another month where you were staying. Now, you might have your reasons for why did you need to leave, because you realize in the long run, based on your current financial situation, you need to downsize. There's nothing wrong with that. But the bottom line is that it's going to cost you to move. And the last thing you need to do is to be in a situation where you have a reasonable living situation and you allow somebody to come in and to turn that upside down and have you where you are put out of your place. It is not the time for that to go on. It's not. And you want to do it in the name of love and family and all this old foolishness or whatever belief you have, you cannot afford to jeopardize your living situation because of somebody else's bullshit. And 9 times out of 10, this person probably has behavior issues, probably running from the law, probably, they just have, bottom line, it boils down to attitude. Unaddressed mental problems. Unaddressed emotional problems, unaddressed physical problems. These simple things that could be done with maybe some reprogramming, reconditioning, mental, physical, emotional therapy that could have been done a long time ago. And all they're doing is just spreading them seeds of confusion everywhere they go. You have to understand how much responsibility you have when you sign a mortgage, sign a lease. There's a huge amount of responsibility for that dwelling. It's not just about money. I have seen people be evicted not just because of money. The majority of the time it's because they owe money, but in a lot of cases it has to do with activities that are in direct violation of the lease. Constant complaints from neighbors about noise and traffic in and out, illegal activities being conducted. People have been evicted from their places. It is not a joke, speaking from past experience, to be evicted from a dwelling. A long time ago, when I didn't understand the responsibilities of a home, when I didn't understand the magnitude and the importance of having a roof over your head. There's a certain amount of security of having a roof over your head. And I have shared with you that, that there was a period of time where I was homeless. I never slept under any bridges or park benches, not demeaning the people who have, but there are different types of homelessness. I was moving from pillar to post based on the money that I got. There wasn't any stability going on inside of me. So I would stay a certain period of time somewhere and then go somewhere else and go somewhere else. I was surfing. I was couch surfing, so to speak. So I know that feeling. But while I was in those programs, I ran into a situation called chronic homelessness. And I think I addressed this in a previous audio. I had never heard the term. I didn't know there was such a thing. And I would see people that have technically been homeless for decades, have not had a dwelling under their name, under their sole responsibility for decades. And a lot of it didn't have anything to do with marriage. I've seen people come in and out of shelters repeatedly. Some people 4, 5, 6 times get on their feet, mess around for whatever reason, lose everything, and wind up right back in the shelter. See, when something tragic happens to me where it affects the way that I think or deal with things, whether it's positive or negative, I let that shit happen to me one time. And that's it. I'm not revisiting it. And I'm not allowing anybody who's associated with it or have memory of it try to bring it back into my present either. It's done. The lesson is learned. It's over. I'm not wallowing in that shit. I'm not carrying that energy around because I don't want to go through that again. And I see some people out here in the streets, unfortunately, there are facilities and free services that are willing, but they don't want to follow the rules. And a lot of them don't want to follow the rules because of the mental health problems. There's nothing normal about someone who has a roof over their head, have food in their belly, and have resources to be able to live, to not want that and not want to keep that on a regular basis. If you have a program that is offering you a bed, offering you 3 meals a day, offering you free counseling and free medical, which are two things that folks like me have to pay for, then if for you not to take it, you need a little bit more help. And these same people would rather go out in the street and stay out in the street all day and all night than to go inside a place that is willing to help. There's nothing normal about that. I say this all the time. The animals understand. Animals spend their waking day doing two things. Number one, making sure they're fed, and number two, making sure they have a home. Those are the two things that animals do all day long. Those are the two goals they have. And they'll do whatever's required to get those things. So don't sit up here and tell me, oh, well, that person's out in the street. I've heard all kind of convoluted excuses from people that were homeless as to why. Well, why don't you go to so-and-so? They have so-and-so. They have beds over there and everything. Oh, well, they got bugs. Well, excuse me, but you were sleeping on the grass over by the interstate. There are bugs in that grass, too. Oh, well, I don't like it because the people aren't clean. Okay, so sleeping under an overpass is clean. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to diminish the fact that these people are doing these things, but I'm saying that in some cases, these people have choices between doing these things and actually living under shelter. And you're going to sit there and tell me that that's okay? There's something wrong with that type of thinking. There's nothing normal about that. That flies in the face of self-preservation. You know what a mental illness is? It's simply a diagnosis of someone's thinking that flies in the face of self-preservation. If a person is not functioning in a manner that preserves their being, then they need to be checked. If they have a mindset where they do not want to take care of the basic things that is required to live, and their thinking interferes with that, yes, they have mental problems. And I say this to say this. Take care of what you have. I don't care who tells you how good that person is. If that person has had a history of not not doing anything legal, not keeping a job, not doing anything to contribute to the growth and sustainability of that household, then they don't need to live with you, period. And that's all I'm going to say today. Have a great day.